What's up, y'all? Welcome to the afternoon shift, TGIF. Am I right? I am maxx-fuller, a.k.a. Matthew Max Conaughey, a.k.a. Froby Bryant, a.k.a. a million other things. Welcome to your source for entertainment, information, and everything in between here in the afternoons, the afternoon shift. Normally, I am joined by the always amiable Adam-llorens. He's taking a bite out of the Big Apple over in NYC right now. Our producer Paul-Millgate is down in Nashville. I think he's coming out with a new country album, and he's out there performing for the people out there. And Adam's probably in NYC, probably loudly talking to subway passengers about his alma mater, Notre Dame. I'm sure he's probably told you all of that many times before. So I'm flying solo in the studio today, but we all know I could never truly do this alone. We got the one, the only Grace Henry on the ones and twos back there. What's good, Grace?
Hey, it's been a weird day without Paul and Adam here. I think this is the first time it's been you and I plus Kara, so it's been a little different of a day, but it's been fun.
I know, a ragtag group of rascals trying to put a show together on the last day of the week. It's been fun though, I think.
Oh, it totally has. I mean, we've just been chatting it up. The office is, I don't think it's been any quieter today than it is normally with
definitely
the other
hasn't. We've filled the room with lots of goss, lots of tea. We're just spilling it all over the place. And we got Lauren Andrego for the afternoon tea a little bit later in the show. But we had morning tea. I mean, we had midday tea, afternoon tea. It was all about the goss today.
All of it. We had one big afternoon tea sesh today.
You got any fun plans for the weekend, Grace?
I was talking to Kara about this early, but my sister is actually in the Nutcracker, so I'll be seeing her tomorrow. But my entire family, our family group chat's blowing up because my mom's kind of losing it a little bit because she's a little nervous about the show and making sure my sister's hair and makeup's all done.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that'll be fun tomorrow, and then I think I'm going to bake some Christmas cookies or something. I feel like this season typically just flies by, and I never do anything that I want to do, and this year I'm bound and determined to do everything I want to do, so I think maybe some cookies. But.
I like that. I'm trying to be the same way. I feel like by the time I'm like, I should be more into the holiday spirit, it's like the 23rd, and it's too late, Like, I got to get some lights. I gotta go see. There's all different types of holiday events going on in the Twin Cities. I want to try to get more in the spirit.
Yeah, what about you? Are you going to do anything holiday related this weekend?
I'm gonna try. Me and my daughter we've been watching holiday movies a lot more lately. Our favorite is the Grinch, the OG Grinch. I still have never seen the new one, but we like the OG Grinch. So we've been trying to watch a few more holiday movies here and there, and we got matching Santa Claus pajamas. So we're trying, we're really trying. I'm way more into the matching pajamas than she is, almost being a teenager at this point. She's not very into the matching pajamas with Pops, but she does it for me.
You gotta. It's
gotta do
Christmas tradition, and the only Grinch I like is the old Grinch. So I'm with you and your daughter because the Jim Carrey one, I can't watch it.
No,
it freaks me out. I think Jim Carrey is fantastic. I think he's a wonderful actor. Every single thing that he's been in, it freaks me out. Like, the Grinch freaks me out. I'm not a huge Dumb and Dumber fan. The Truman Show is a great movie. I can't ever watch it again because it made me feel like, oh my gosh, what if this is my life? So
yeah.
But yeah, the OG Grinch. Nostalgic.
The OG Grinch is the best, and it's like way shorter than we all remember. It's like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, he really had a change of heart pretty quickly. Like as a kid, you think it's like this whole process, and it's like, damn, I don't think the Grinch really felt that strongly about it.
Yeah, the character development happened real quick. Real quick. It's like it's built for our short attention spans now.
It really is.
We need everything short form content, and the Grinch was doing it way ahead of its time in that regard.
It works perfect. Maybe he heard that song because as an adult, you hear that song. Like we talk about Not Like Us as a great diss song. You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch might be the best diss song of all time. He hated that guy.
Hated them. I can't even think of the words, but even just like the tone of the
spiders for brains, wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. It's crazy. Like he really hated that guy. I need the lore on what the Grinch did to the guy that wrote that song.
I know. Maybe he stole Christmas from that guy.
Maybe. we need some lore. I'll try to look that up. In the meantime, we got some headlines before we get to the rest of the show. Earlier today, right here on this very station, football fans worldwide found out who their favorite country is going to be facing off against in the 2026 World Cup, as the World Cup draw went down about 6 months ahead of the beginning of the World Cup here in North America. It all went down at the Kennedy Center in D.C. today, being that the United States, North America is the host kind of continent for this tournament this year. So all Mexico, Canada, and the United States all get automatic bids into the tournament. Not sure that the United States would have made it otherwise, but the tournament is expanded this year for the first time ever. There's going to be 48 different countries involved in the World Cup. The last edition of the World Cup was one of the greatest sporting events of all time. I mean, just you cannot script drama like a shootout at the end of the World Cup between two of the best teams, two of the most famous players on the planet, and then maybe the GOAT of soccer finishing his story, bringing home the World Cup for his home country of Argentina. Of course, I'm talking about Lionel Messi. I don't think that he is going to be in the mix this year, so it'll certainly be a passing of the torch moment. The United States gets underway. Their first matchup will be on June 12th against Paraguay. And interestingly enough, Paul-Millgate is not here, but he is a native of the land down under. The United States will play Australia on June 19th. So I'm sure we're going to have to give Paul some grief on that. But the World Cup draw went down on Fox earlier today. So if you want to check that out, I'm sure we got it all over our stations and over our websites. And, you know, football fans may be excited to see their favorite team in action, but football fans, at least Minnesota football fans, I don't know how many people are super excited to see the Vikings in action this weekend, but nonetheless, the Vikings will clash with the Washington Commanders at US Bank Stadium on Sunday. Kickoff right around noon. The Vikings will look to snap their 4-game skid. And if you thought the Vikings have been bad lately, Grace, the Commanders have lost 7 straight.
Really?
7 straight. They actually have less wins than the Vikings.
But have they been completely shut out by anyone?
I don't know if they have, but because that was rough. That was literally throughout your entire time being on the earth, Grace. The Vikings had not been shut out, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's was it? No, maybe 2009.
Oh, okay. Maybe you were very young. Yeah,
I was very young.
Yeah, you were very young.
But so okay, fill me in, because I honestly watched the game. I did. And I did, but is JJ playing this weekend? Is JJ
he playing? I think he will be playing.
Okay.
He was a full participant in practice today. I cannot imagine any the way that Max Brosmer played last week. I think anybody, Kevin O'Connell might have put on the helmet and the pads and went out there and thrown after the way that Max Brosmer played. But from everything I've been hearing from Kevin O'Connell throughout this week, it sounds like they're really, and I don't mean this in a condescending or demeaning way, but it sounds like they're kind of trying to simplify things for JJ. Just make it as easy as possible, as streamlined as possible. And Kevin O'Connell, because there's been lots of talk about, you know, JJ's throwing mechanics, the way he places his shoulders, or his footwork and all this stuff. And Kevin O'Connell has basically just gone out there and said that he told JJ, hey, listen, we can worry about mechanics, footwork, all that kind of stuff in the offseason. Just go out there and play football. You're a football player, man.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that's won at every level except for the professional level so far. So he's a guy that's used to winning. He's used to success. Kevin O'Connell's like, man, just go out there and play football. So it sounds like J.J. McCarthy will be under center for the Vikings on Sunday.
Well, maybe it'll be a little more relaxed, because, I mean, it can't really get much worse than Max Brosmer's performance from last weekend. I mean, I really had my fingers crossed.
Me
I was
too.
very intentional about tuning into that game, you know, as fellow Gophers, you and I.
For
I think
sure.
we were all rooting for him, but is he going to have, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but is he going to have a future in the NFL, or do you think that's pretty much it for him?
I think that might be it for him. A lot of people in the Vikings organization have high praise and a lot of good things to say about Max Brosmer. So I could see him continuing to be like a practice squad guy. I can't see him making a 53-man roster at this point after the one example of we have of him playing on a professional field. It was even worse than, again, the stat. If he would have just thrown it at the ground, he would have had a better passer rating. He threw 4 interceptions. It was just an absolute nightmare and a disaster. So I can't see him making a roster. We all want him to. That would be great. Yeah. I mean, already his story has been pretty incredible for him to do all the things that he did in college, be an undrafted free agent, and even get the opportunity to start in an NFL game. That's incredible. But yeah, it's going to be a tough road for Max Brosmer to try to get under center again in an NFL game. Unless it's the preseason, maybe we can see some Max Brosmer action in the preseason. But I doubt that he's gonna touch a field again for a very long time.
That's a bummer. But am I hearing this correctly? You're saying there's a chance against the Commanders.
There's a chance. There's absolutely a chance. If there's any fan base that is reeling more than the Vikings fan base, it's the Washington Commanders fan base. Because the Vikings kind of came into the season like, look, we don't know JJ's going to be. It's kind of it's a mystery bag. We don't know what it's going to be. So we could make I think people had playoff expectations. I don't think people really had above that kind of expectations. We just wanted to see playoffs. The Washington Commanders are coming off their quarterback, Jaden Daniels, was coming off one of the best rookie seasons for a quarterback in NFL history. They made it to the playoffs last year. They hadn't made it to the playoffs in at least a decade, I think, maybe over a decade. And they were flying into the season with a lot of high-profile names that they signed over the offseason. They were expecting Super Bowl. They weren't. It wasn't just play. They were expecting Super Bowl. And then injuries started piling up. Some of these guys that they acquired aren't producing the way they thought they're going to be. And lo and behold, they're on a 7-game skid.
Well, it seems like this is going to be a great pair this weekend, then. I'll have to tune in.
What a high-profile matchup. Must-see TV on Sunday. But I know y'all, just like me, we're going to go out there and support our purple and gold, our Minnesota Vikings. That'll be against the Washington Commanders at noon. And I believe, let me double check. Yeah, that is that can be seen on Fox Sports right here on Fox Network. So go out there and support the Minnesota Vikings. They're 4-8. The Washington Commanders are 3-9. They're really only just playing for pride at this point, but you never know. It could be a fun game. It's the NFL. There's all types of parity in the NFL. It could be a shootout. It could be a 0-0 game. We have no idea, but that's kind of the fun of the Minnesota Vikings so far this season. And one last headline that's got a lot of cinephiles out there and people in the film and movie industry a little bit worried, scratching their heads, because Netflix announced earlier this morning that the company has reached a deal to buy Warner Brothers Film and HBO Max for a whopping $72 billion with a B. I got to put the pinky up like Dr. Evil. $72 billion, ending a public bidding war that was going on for at least a couple weeks. I'm sure months and months longer behind the scenes. But yeah, it involved big companies like Paramount, like Comcast, vying for Warner Brothers acquisition. But Netflix ultimately won out in the end because they showed up with some cash. They said, forget the stocks. They came with an initial offer with all the stocks and bonds and all that, and then they came back to the second offer. They said, we got nothing but cold hard cash for you.
This is just unbelievable to me. I mean, it is actually, because I feel like we just hear about, Disney's been acquiring so many different networks, or I don't even know the correct term, but different conglomerates, and now Netflix is doing the same. It's just, at the end of the day, I'm curious if it's just going to be Netflix and Disney, if they're going to be the two big ones.
Yeah, because basically it almost is getting to that point already. Disney obviously has Hulu, they got Disney Plus, they got ABC and all that kind of stuff, and then Netflix now has Warner Brothers. Maybe the most iconic film studio. Like when you think of film, you think of Warner. That's one of the first things I think about is that Warner Brothers logo. They've been around for over a century, I think now at this point, but a lot of people have had some consternation with their leadership. David Zaslav and the way he's been handling things. HBO Max taking stuff off like the Looney Tunes, taking stuff off that are Warner Brothers properties. He just hasn't shown a whole lot of care for the properties underneath Warner Brothers, and that's what a lot of people are worried about with this Netflix acquisition is like, is this going to change the theater-going experience as we know it? Because obviously Warner Brothers is a huge supplier for movies that hit the theaters every single year.
I know you love the movies and you go constantly to the movies. Have you seen a change? Like, do you feel like movie theaters are getting the same audience that maybe 10 years ago? Like, are people still going to the movies as they were 10 years ago? Because I personally, I used to go to the movies all the time with my dad as a kid, and I haven't gone since, I went to Wicked, but that was the first time I've gone since the other Wicked. So it takes something really big to get me to go to the theaters. Do you think that's true for a lot of people at this point?
I think it is. I think these big event movies, these intellectual properties that we all know, the Marvel movies, the Wickeds, and stuff like that tend to draw people out. And we've seen other movies in the past kind of have these cultural moments. Like the Longlegs had a moment last year. Obviously, Sinners had a huge moment throughout this year. So we see different. There's times that give me hope, like Sinners, like F1, which granted F1's tied to the actual sport, but there's two original movies that did really well at the theaters. Barbie, again, an intellectual property, but an original movie nonetheless. Droves and droves of people went to go see that, and Oppenheimer. So and Oppenheimer is a 3-hour movie about World War II and the atomic bomb. It's not exactly like a family-friendly movie that you're going to go and have a popcorn movie. You're going to go kick your feet up and say, wow, this is a blast. No, that's not what Oppenheimer was, but people still came and showed out at the movie theater. I think the problem is that a lot of the times we don't get the same backing for these non-big event movies. Like, for example, like now I'm seeing like a natural kind of swell behind this new Timothée Chalamet movie that's coming out on Christmas, Marty Supreme. I'm starting to see it everywhere. And it's starting to kind of pick up a natural kind of vibe where people are getting excited about it. But I think movie theaters and movie studios are getting better at adapting, because like one thing that I really liked lately is movie theaters are starting to show a lot of older movies in the theater. Like last week I saw a couple weeks ago, Back to the Future. It was like its 40-year anniversary or something like that. And so they were showing it at the theaters. I know they're showing Elf and The Grinch and all types of stuff throughout Christmas. And just in my experience, when I've gone, I went to go see The Seven Samurai. It's a movie that came out, I think, in the 1950s, 1960s, black and white. Akira Kurosawa, one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, Japanese filmmaker. But this is an over 60-year-old movie. I had to sit like directly. There wasn't a seat in the house.
Oh, wow.
Because there was that many people there, So sometimes I go to the theater and it really gives me hope, and then other times I'm the only person in the theater. Yeah. So it really, I think it really depends. But I would like to see the same kind of promotional backing behind some of these B movies that aren't necessarily these giant events like Avatar or Wicked, but are still good movies nonetheless. And I do just think we kind of live in a hot take culture, an extreme culture, where it's like, this thing has to be groundbreaking, the greatest movie ever. People don't want the in-between anymore. It's either this movie is amazing, 10 out of 10, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, or this is trash. But there's a lot of good in between as well. I just would like to see some backing. But I do think theaters are getting a little bit better at producing those B movies and trying to get people back in the theaters. Like, I know AMC is cutting the prices on their popcorn. A lot of these theater chains are starting to have like deals where you can have monthly subscriptions and go see X amount of movies. They're really, some of them have axe throwing and bars now, like they're really trying to adapt. And I think that's part of it too, is that movie theaters have to be more than one thing now. It can't just be a movie theater. It's got to be a bar. It's got to be a home for all different types of entertainment, because that's kind of, at this point in society, we want everything to be everything, and movie theaters got to adapt to that, and they have been pretty slow to adapt to that throughout time, but I think they're finally coming around. So there's glimmers of hope, but this Netflix thing does worry me, because I think one of the CEOs did come out and say that he wants to shorten some of these theatrical windows. And I know a lot of theater goers like me that they actually want the exact opposite. Some of these movies are only in theaters for like a week, 2 weeks, and then they're gone. And how is anybody going to see it or hear about it? Well, like some of these movies, like I was talking about, they pick up that natural, people start to talk about it, and then it picks up that natural steam, and then people go see it. But if it's only in the theater for a week or two, and it's coming to Netflix, well, that's going to disincentivize you to go see it at all.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, and it'll be. I'm curious because Netflix. We were talking about this. The last episode of Stranger Things is going to be in the theaters, so maybe they're going to start airing some series in these movie theaters with this. But again, I think only time will tell. You had some really interesting perspective there, and I know at least you'll be at the theaters.
I'll always be at the theater. They're going to have to kick me out. I'm going to be there until it shuts down. But hopefully Netflix and Warner Brothers can work something out that we theater goers and the people that like to stay at home and stream, we all get something that we can love. Speaking of stuff that we can love, we got plenty to love on the show today. Coming up, we got the top homie, Lauren Andrego, giving us the afternoon tea. And if I could give you a tea tease, it's all about the color of the year, the predicted color of the year for 2026. We'll chat with Lauren about that. We also got Fox 9's Se Kwon making her afternoon shift debut. The best reporter in town, if you ask me. Se Kwon from the morning show. She's going to make her afternoon shift debut. Of course, we can't forget it's ice fishing season. It's one of Minnesota's favorite pastimes here. So we got somebody from the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show who is just dying to tell us everything about ice fishing. Listen, I've never been. I don't know the first thing, so I want to hear. about the essentials, what one-on-one tips for beginners. What do the experts do? Is it really just an excuse for drinking? We're going to talk to him about all of that and more. But coming up next, a pretty historic announcement yesterday. It'll be the first time that U.S. car companies will be required to use female crash dummies. This might seem like something that you're like, what? This wasn't a thing before, but yeah, we got a lot to dive into with this. Female crash dummies. We're going to be talking about all of that and more. Hang out with us on the afternoon shift. We're here till 5. Don't go anywhere. F, which might sound like a new Marvel movie, but no. It's a much bigger deal than that. It is an advanced female crash test dummy. And you might be thinking, Max, that's not that big of a deal, but pretty soon, the U.S. will be required for the first time, car companies in the U.S. will be required for the first time to test vehicle safety using dummies that represent women. Joining me to talk about this historic move is Susan Molinari, the co-chair of Women Drive 2, an organization dedicated to transforming vehicle safety. Susan, this is not something that I was very aware of prior to doing research for this interview, but I gotta say, it was startling to me to look at the numbers and see this giant gap between men's safety and women's safety when it comes to car crashes. Could you just talk a little bit about that gap?
Sure. Well, it's not surprising, right, when we realize, which most people don't, that since 1970, when we started using crash test dummies to determine safety ratings for our cars here in the United States, that it was based on a 5'4", 140-pound male. When women started to complain and their numbers, I'll get back to that, they said, all right, well, they just shrunk the male crash test dummy and put it in the passenger seat. So to this day, we don't know the safety of cars with regard to a woman behind the wheel because we don't have a biofidelic, a crash test dummy that represents females with our biological differences. Women are 78% more likely to be injured in a car crash and 18% more likely to die. So we're really grateful to the Department of Transportation and Secretary Duffy for moving this along.
Susan, this seems like something that is so like this. Antiquated, archaic, this idea that we don't have crash test dummies that are representative of females. I mean, I'd imagine that because it's just happening now, that this is something that's taken some fight across the years. Like, how long has this been in the process for?
Well, DOT has been testing crash test dummies for about a decade now, and every time we contact them to say, let's start to implement this like China, Japan, and Europe, are already doing this. We're always told, well, it needs more study. So as I said, it's great that the DOT has finally decided under this new leadership and President Trump that they're going to move this thing along with a companion bill that's been in the United States Senate by Senator Deb Fischer called the She Drives Act, which is gaining momentum and has bipartisan support.
Grace, I believe you had a question?
Yes, I do. So I was reading a little bit about this new crash test dummy. What are some of the changes made that are different than the old female one? Because like you said, I read that it was just a shrunken version and they added a pair of breasts to it, basically. Correct. What is the difference now with this newly implemented one?
Well, so what the Thor 5 is going to be is, and it's already made, so we can move this as quickly as possible with regard to government regulations and commenting periods, et cetera. What it does is for the first time in the United States, we will have a crash test dummy that has sensors where most women have their injuries. We know where those are. Those are not reflected. For example, let's just take an example. Women are overwhelmingly the victims of neck injuries and whiplashes because our necks are just, we don't have the muscle, right? I mean, our bodies biofidelically are different. Overwhelmingly, majority of women sit closer to the steering wheel in order to reach the brakes and the gas pedal. So there's just so many differences in the way our bodies are created in terms of muscle mass, height, like you said, having breasts, being pregnant. None of these things have ever been tested in cars before. So when you went to buy a car and it said, well, it's an NCAP, safety rating of 5 stars, that's really only resembling a male sitting behind the steering wheel.
I'm curious because even from doing the research and reading, it sounds like even the male crash test dummies were kind of all based on old male figures from like the 1970s, 1980s, and obviously people come in all different shapes and sizes. So like, does that factor? Are there different dummies for different type of body types, or do you kind of have just like all-purpose ones that try to get it all?
Well, we're starting with this, but what the legislation requires is that, at certain periods of time, that NHTSA, the National Transportation Safety Administration, goes back and looks at the data and makes some changes to adjust, as you correctly stated. Even men are taller and bigger than when we started this as the United States government in 1970.
Susan, how big is this going to be for women's safety when it comes to car crashes? Like, are we expecting just like a ripple effect of whole different kinds of research and different design techniques for vehicles?
Oh, absolutely. That's Max. You've totally hit it right on the head in terms of the safety of women. Again, when we think about 78% of serious injuries are from women. 18% deaths. I mean, think about what that means to families, what that means, to safety on the road. With electric vehicles, which are heavier, this can't be implemented too soon.
And I was reading that it costs about $1 million for each one of these units. Is that going to create problems for implementing this? Like, what are the next steps of making sure that these dummies are being used in crash tests and that research goes forward and changes are being made?
Well, once the Department of Transportation says this needs to be done, it has to be done. And then again, as I said, we're also supporting legislation so that this can't be rolled back in the future. We want this on the books as opposed to through a government fiat, which we're grateful for. But we don't want this rolled back, and we want this with an aggressive timeline as possible. Now, when we talk about the numbers, it's really pennies on the dollar for every car. And I'm just looking at the number that I have here in terms of, what it costs society when we have these, deaths and serious injuries. I don't think you can really put a price on that. We acknowledge that for years that car companies have to make cars safer for men. You can't use a cost estimate as an argument for why we can't make a car safe for women.
Life is priceless, like you just said right there, Susan. Have you had a chance to see this new Thor in action at all? Do you get to see a lot of these crash test dummies in action?
I have not, but I'm going to now that we're feeling so positive about it. And I do want to say we spent the last 4 years under the Biden administration sending letters to Secretary Buttigieg with the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, and we got nothing. At one point, 22 members of Congress, bipartisan, wrote to the secretary and never got a response. We started a letter with 30 former ambassadors, members of Congress, attorneys general, car safety advocates, and never got an answer. So we're just really grateful that it has taken such a short period of time for Secretary Duffy to acknowledge, the significance of this.
When can we expect these crash test dummies to get into use here? I'd imagine it's not just like a flip of a switch and then we got them in the driver's seat. When can we expect them into use, and when can we expect kind of like the effects of these to start being implemented?
Well, we're hoping as soon as possible. Under the legislation, though, it has to go through 3 rulemakings. which means that you have to, of course, the government does not move quickly, but it means that they're going to have to put these rules out, requiring car companies to do this, and then everybody has to respond, and then they have to go back and respond to those things. So it will take a little bit of a while. Under the She Drives Act, though, it's a very aggressive schedule, and we think probably within the next 2 years maximum, we'll be able to ensure women that they will be safer on the road than they were today.
It can't come soon enough, Susan. I'm curious, just from a general point of view, how do these crash tests work? I feel like we all saw those old commercials with the crash test dummies, but I'm assuming there's a lot more that goes into it. How do these crash tests work?
You got me. I'm assuming it's like the old car commercials too. But they do it from side impact, front impact, back impact, not just head on. But just think about this. When the government acknowledged that women were driving, no, they haven't really even acknowledged that they should be testing a crash test dummy that is biofidelically close to a female. They put us in the passenger seat. Women now are 51% of the drivers, and most of the really serious accidents have been caused by men. Just saying.
Yeah, get those stereotypes out of here. Throw them out the window. The statistics trump the stereotypes there. Susan, I'm assuming the fight never ends for this kind of stuff. What's the next step for women's safety in terms of car crashes and stuff?
Well, as I said, what we want to do is, first of all, continue to support Secretary Duffy, because I know this will, that we do anticipate that there will be some friction in terms of implementing this as quickly as we hope. But also the She Drives Act, which, again, Senator Fisher from Nebraska has been championing, has bipartisan support from, very important members of the Senate. Senator Patty Murray, Democrat, is supporting it. So once we want to get that legislation in too, so that we can move even more aggressively than under regulation, than under what the Department of Transportation can do, and to make sure that it won't be rolled back. So those are the next steps.
I'm curious, after what you just said right there with the friction part, what kind of has been the reaction to this unveiling so far politically, and I guess within the car industry itself?
Well, so far we've not heard anything, and I think that's smart, because it's going to be really hard to say that you don't want to make your cars equally as safe for female drivers than for male drivers. So I'm not really anticipating that they're going to make a lot of noise. I mean, that's just, look, we have gone through, don't let me get on my Helen Reddy. Oh, you guys are too young to remember Helen Reddy. I am woman, hear me work. But, we've gone through too much in this country, in this world where, women weren't part of clinical trials, just so often women are not part of government regulations to make us safe and healthy. And so, again, we're just so grateful that Secretary Duffy is acknowledging that, over 50% of the population needs to be taken into consideration.
Which is just crazy that it's taken this long, but at least we're here now. Susan, you're the co-chair of Women Drive 2. Just brag about what you guys do a little bit. Talk about Women Drives 2.
Well, so this was an organization that we started to, let people know. I mean, honestly, when you first heard about this, I bet you said, Max and Grace, this cannot be true.
Yeah. No, I was like, how is this a thing? You would have thought that's just something it never crosses your mind, because you're like, oh, I just figured they would have done that decades ago.
I know. So first of all, we've been trying to get the word out there that this is happening. Second of all, working with all these different advocacy groups to raise the issue, to put pressure on, and then, meeting with members of the House and the Senate to get their support behind it. So we've sort of just been doing the old public affairs dance in terms of talking to people like you who can get the word out there, and to the people who are watching, again, doing social media, contacting members of the administration, doing whatever we can do to move this along as quickly as possible.
Well, we're lucky to have people like you and all the good people at Women Drive 2. Susan Molinari, the co-chair of Women Drive 2. Thanks for joining us today,
Thanks so much for letting me come on and share some of our good feelings today. We really appreciate it.
Anytime, Susan. You're welcome back anytime. Hopefully we're talking about how it's implemented real soon here. It's crazy that that hasn't been a thing so far, but we're here today now, and we're driving along, driving forward boldly into the future. Speaking of driving, Grace is driving the ship right now. She's going to drive us to commercial break. There'll be more afternoon shift right after this. Writer Harry Middleton once said, "Fishing is not an escape from life, but often a deeper immersion into it." And perhaps no form of fishing is more immersive than ice fishing. It's something that I've always been fascinated by, but I really don't know that much about. Luckily, we have a whole expo dedicated to the world of ice fishing. That would be the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show 2025. That's going down at the St. Paul River Center this weekend. And we got a master in the house, Travis Tuthill, pro staff with Clam Outdoors. How's it going, Travis?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me. That's quite the intro.
Yeah,
I try
to make it, spruce them up a little bit. I like
was-
the free flow, but I want the intros to be a
That
little.
was deep.
Yeah, I gotta do some research on this stuff, because I'm behind. I don't know a damn thing about ice fishing. I gotta ask though, because this expo, when are you guys gonna get the expo out on the lake? Doesn't it seem kind of phony to have it in a nice warm building? I mean,
Yeah.
you got to get that expo out there on the lake.
I agree. And they call this expo, actually, they call it the Super Bowl of ice fishing.
Really?
Even though it's kind of the kickoff of it,
Yeah.
so it's, counterintuitive there. But yeah, it's the biggest ice show, especially in the state, that they have. And it's, every company that's out there. And there's companies coming from all around, all states. Because there's so much innovation in everything ice fishing now. Like, it's just huge.
Yeah.
Like, I always say, like, if fish knew the amount of money we spend on them, they would think we're ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
So is it like, what is the expo? Is it like people, doing talks and talking about techniques? Is it new technology? Is it kind of a mix of everything? Like, what's like the main attractions?
It's definitely a mix of everything, because you'll have, you got a lot of, like, new, store outlets out there, like Reed's, Thorne Brothers, all them. They're out there selling all the new stuff. Then you got all the new companies, Clam, Markham, all these new companies all these companies are out there selling all their new stuff. And then you have the pros out there. They're giving seminars, tips and tricks and everything like that. And then it's become such a social influence now. There's a lot of influencers out there.
Really?
And they have their own stuff now, between, breading of fish that they sell to lures to apparel. So it's really anything you can think of is at this show.
And I would imagine, like, influencers, I feel like in most spaces it's like, get out of here, dog. But you can't fake the funk with ice fishing,
No.
right? If you're an
No.
influencer, you got to be all in on it.
Yeah, anything outdoors, because I always tell people, because I dabble a little bit in the influence myself, and not only like you have to have people on the same page, but now you got to get wildlife on the same page, so fish and stuff to work with you. Yeah, so there's no hiding it, that's for sure. Yeah.
So what's some of like the new technology that you're like anticipating at this upcoming show?
There's a lot of technology. The last couple years, the biggest thing technology-wise I think has come out is called forward-facing sonar. And it's a big thing nowadays. Like, it's literally a deucer that you put down a hole and you can point it anywhere, and it'll show about 80 to 100 yards out.
Oh,
and you
wow.
can see, like, oh, there's fish, 40 feet that way.
Yeah.
Let's go there. And you can drill right on top of these fish. So that's, in the last few years, that's been a real game changer. Flasher units, what we call, like, and I brought one here.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, let's show it off.
Yeah, so I brought one here. This is a Markham right here. This is an LX7. And I have it kind of on its mode here. This is the
Sweet.
display mode.
Yeah.
But this will show, so once you find those fish, you drill on top of them. This will show how deep they are, where they're at in the water column. And they'll show all kinds of things, like how many fish are down there, how deep you are.
That's crazy.
It can follow your lure down, so you can watch your lure up and down.
Wow.
You can see the fish come up and grab the lure. So, like, flashers have been around for years and years. They're kind of like, they're a big stepping stone in the progress of technology, and forward-facing sonar has been that next step. So yeah, it's been.
Is there less of a? I feel like I don't know. Just from the outside looking in, it feels like there's somewhat of a stigma for like kind of standard fishing to be using stuff like this. Is that less so for ice fishing?
No, that, I mean...
Or is it still people will kind of wag their finger at you, like the unks, you know, be like, that's not how I did it in my day.
You do get that a lot with every new piece of technology that comes out. You know, they're always thinking, like, this is going to be the end of fishing. There's going to be no fish left, you know? And,
right.
And it's funny because, like, I mean, these fish evolve with everything else. Like, they learn to avoid the, like, sonar sounds that these things put out. And so they pick up on it, too. And just because you know where the fish are, you still got to make them bite.
Right.
And that's a whole other skill there, too. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I would have never even known that stuff like this existed. Like I said, I mean, I've never gone ice fishing, much to your surprise when we were talking off the air. Say there's somebody out there watching right now, and they're like, man, this Travis guy, he's great. I want to go ice fishing. He's inspired me. I got a twinkle in my eye now. I'm gonna go hit the pond. What would you say? How do you start? What's some tips for first timers?
Tips for I would say, honestly, first timers, go with somebody who's ice fished before.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Just get a bunch of buddies that have never gone before and go try to drill a hole in the lake.
Don't do that. Try to get somebody who's gone before to go with you. There's a lot of guides and stuff all over the state too that'll bring you out to kind of get you in, because there's a lot of safety precautions that you should take, because I mean, you're going out on a lake, right? So there's a lot of safety precautions you take, and I brought a couple of them in too here. And so, like,
what is some of this gear here?
So, like, this is one of the mandatory things a lot of people will put on. Do you know what this is?
No, it looks like a baton that the police would use, but that's just where my mind goes.
So, it's not that. It's not that. You actually wear this around like this. And now, let's say I fall into the water. If you've ever tried to climb out of frozen water, I'm sure you haven't. No. It's pretty hard to get any kind of grip, right, to pull yourself out.
For sure.
So these are safety spikes.
Oh, wow.
So you wear these, around your neck like this. Your hands free. It's something that you can just leave on there, right? So you say you go through. Now you need, you get yourself up. You have the spikes up. This is how you're crawling out of the ice.
Wow.
So safety spikes they're a big mandatory, especially early season, which is kind of right now where ice is anywhere from no ice to 5 inches.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as safe ice. So these are a mandatory thing to have. The other mandatory thing I would tell people to get to is this right here. So this is the Clam ice armor suit. This is an Ascent suit. So not only are they super warm, I mean, you can tell they're
look at that. Yeah.
They're well insulated.
Thick right there.
Yeah, it's a heavy coat. So it's a coat and bibs.
Oh,
but
sweet.
The other big thing about this is it's a float suit. So this is like wearing, a life jacket on you at all times. So the bibs float and the coat floats. So if you go in, like, you can literally just chill. Like you're laying back in the pool. You can just be, sitting there.
No sweat at all.
Yeah, because the dangerous thing about falling through the ice is getting under the ice.
Right.
Yeah. So this helps keep your head above. This helps let you crawl out. So there's a lot of safety precautions. So I always tell people, I was like, if you're going out for the first time, like, let somebody bring you out first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are some, aside from the safety stuff, like, what are some essentials that you got out there with you?
Also, you're going to need an auger.
Yeah.
You got to find a way to pull fish through the ice, right?
Right.
Augers are big things now. They went from where it was just, hand motion augers to they had gas augers, big, loud gas augers, to now it's electric. Everything's going electric, right? So now and there's even drills, like even a lot of drills that you have at home can hook up to augers, which is just a big, spiral auger system.
Yeah.
That you can just drill right into that hole.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so that's like, so when you go out there's not like just ready-made holes that are in. You got to go find the right spot. Like, what is that kind of like, what are you doing to know what is the right spot to drill your hole?
Yeah, so then that breaks down to now you got to look at where you're going to fish. You got to look at maps, right? A lot of like Navionic maps. There's a lot of map chips out there that show you structures of the lake, and you're looking for different structures. You're looking for humps in the lake. There's points. There's weed lines. There's a bunch of different things that draw fish to an area, and it's like that with any kind of wildlife too, right? Like, if you look at deer, they're following like the edge of the woods, or like the edge of fish do the same thing. They'll follow like the edge of weeds. They'll follow a point. So that's kind of what you look for. And it's one of those games you play, like, okay, this is where fish should be. Let's see if it's there. you're looking around for there's no fish. You got to move to the next spot.
Right.
So studying up on the lake map itself is pretty key at the beginning of a trip. Yeah.
Clearly, you're very in the know, Travis. Like, what is your lore with ice fishing? Take me back to the first time that you.
The first time, I actually talked about this earlier today too. my dad would take me out, and he's not a big fisherman. He enjoyed it. It was like a little bit of a pastime. Like for me, it's like a passion. For him, like the earliest days I remember is like he would pick me up from like elementary and look in the back of the truck and there'd be like a bucket of ice rods. So I'm like, we're going fishing. Like, let's go, And so that was really the start of it. And I really took off with outdoors after that, with fishing and hunting and everything. And it's just always been a passion of mine, just something I just love to do all the time. Where's
some of your favorite places to go? You don't have to, I don't want you to reveal any hidden spots or anything if you don't want to share. But where are some of your favorite places to go?
I mean, most of them are pretty popular, so I'm not afraid to say. And Lake of the Woods, I go up there a lot, ice fishing up there, and fishing even open water. That's a great fishing up there. A lot of people love Red Lake. Yeah. It's a popular one to go to, especially early ice. There's another one, too. It's called Big Stone.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's over in Ortonville, right on the North Dakota, Minnesota border. There's big panfish in that lake there. That's one of my favorite ones to go to. So there's a lot of big lakes. I mean...
You ever travel outside the state to go?
Ice fishing?
Yeah.
I haven't.
Minnesota kind of like the go-to destination.
Yeah, I've dabbled in Canada a little bit with ice fishing, but for the most part, I've stayed in Minnesota. There are some places like Okoboji and stuff like that I'd like to go try.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot of options, especially, like I said, there's so many spots in Minnesota.
Why not? You're never going to run out. You're never going to go to all 10,000,
right. Yeah, so it's hard to go anywhere else. Yeah.
What would you say is like some common misconceptions you think about ice fishing?
So,
or fishing in general, because I feel like sometimes people are just like, nobody really cares. You're just out there to drink.
That's it right there. That was what I was going to bring up. I get that almost nonstop. Like, I'm like, I'm going fishing today. Like, how many cases did you bring with? And you're just like, I brought some water with me. Like, I don't know. Because when I go out fishing, like I'm going out fishing.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. People enjoy it all different ways. Like there's me, like I would consider myself a hardcore fisherman when I go. But there's people that just going out, they just want to relax. Like it's away from everybody. It's usually nice and quiet. Some lakes can get busy. But with camping and stuff is a big thing. Like they have ice castles, like big RV style fish houses where you can get all the luxuries that you want to where people are literally camping in tents.
Right.
Tent type, they're pop-up tents, which Clam makes too, and they're insulated. So you can stay warm, but people bring cots and they'll sleep in there.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just a way to enjoy it, like during the winter months when people think there's nothing to do.
How long are you usually out there for when you're going ice fishing?
Oh,
How
man.
long is a session?
If I'm going fishing, like I want to be able to fish all day.
Yeah. Clear schedule.
Yeah,
man. You're not rushing out of there.
I want that option to fish all day. It doesn't happen. If I can get a couple hours in, I'll do it. But yeah, I like to fish all day.
I'm sure you're going to be at the St. Paul River Center all day this weekend, right? Are you guys? Is Clam Outdoors going to be representing out there at the ice fishing show?
Yeah, Clam. We got a big section out at Clam. Today was the first day of it. It's going to go all weekend. It's going to go today, tomorrow, and Sunday. I believe it starts at 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Oh, dang.
So it's going to be
bright and early.
Yeah. Luckily, us ice fishermen are cool with that. So. Yeah,
you guys are used to that.
There's fun seminars and stuff, too. I did a seminar today with a couple other guys from Clam. We're going to do another one tomorrow at noon. And then there's other guys like Jason Mitchell, Dave Gens. They're doing seminars up there, too. So there's a ton to do. There's food and everything. Like, everything you think of is all there. So it's a good day good way to spend the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a lot. I've never even gone. It sounds like a lot of fun, man. I got to get out there. Let's get out there, man.
Dude,
Will you bring me with sometime this winter? I'm totally down to go.
I'd bring you with, yeah.
I would love to.
I would bring you with. It's a blast. People think it's slow going and like, no, it's a fast pace, and you get on fish, it's nonstop. It's so much fun.
I'm sure it's an addicting feeling, for sure.
100%, yes. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to get out there on the lake sometime. Travis Tuthill of Clam Outdoors. Real quick, what is Clam Outdoors for those that don't know?
So Clam is a company based out of Minnesota here. They specialize in ice fishing, hard water. They do have some stuff for open water season, but they're known for their suits, their tackle, their rods. Like they have rods and reels here too. They're fish houses, so they're a big component of the state, and they're a big advocate for ice fishing here.
Well, we appreciate your time today, Travis.
I appreciate it, too.
Everybody go out to the St. Paul River Center this weekend for the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show 2025. You can see Travis among many other expert ice fishermen. I probably won't be there, but maybe next year. Maybe next year after Travis takes me out on the lake and I learn from the master himself, Travis Tuthill, pro staff with Clam Outdoors. I don't think Lauren Andrego knows a whole lot about anything ice fishing. I don't know if Se Kwon does either, but we're going to be chatting with both of them about lots more coming up right here on the afternoon shift. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the afternoon shift. Listen, y'all, I'm going to be real. I'm on the news, but I don't watch a lot of news. When I'm at the crib, I'm watching something stupid. I'm watching Jerry Springer. I'm watching like the Secret Lives of Mormon Housewives.
Period.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But one person that I'm always tuning into, no matter what she's doing, when she's doing her thing in the mornings, is Fox 9's own Se Kwon. What's up, Se Kwon?
I'm pretty good. Thank you so much for having me. This is my first time.
Your debut, your afternoon shift debut.
Yeah, I'm feeling ready. I'm feeling good.
What's taking so long? I don't know why it took us so long to connect with you morning show folks. We got Shanu, we got Hannah. She told us everything about pregnancy.
I know.
I'm an expert now. Adam's even more of an expert.
Yeah, I did see that segment. That was awesome. I'm so glad you guys pulled Hannah because I think she is like one of the best people ever on the morning show. Really at the station. She's the best. She's the best.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's probably just our hours. Our hours are absurd.
You guys wake up at like what, 3 a.m?
Oh, way before that.
Dang.
There are times where I can be late to work sometimes because I'm just like not hearing the alarms. Right. But we get into work at 3 a.m. So obviously we're up a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
Sometimes
by the time that we come in, y'all are like, I'm not trying to listen to these.
Yeah, we're like,
loud,
we're
annoying.
Yeah,
Dude,
we're
I'm out the building. I gotta ask you, when Saquon Barkley emerged as an athlete, was that just how much trauma did that do to your psyche? Because that's got to be one of the first things that people say to you almost every time.
I'll be super honest. I was not like a huge sports person, let alone football person, until I got to this station, right? So like Fox 9 being the home of the Vikings has made me want to learn more about the Vikings, whatever. So obviously, I learned about Saquon Barkley through some of my guy friends who were starting to call me Saquon Barkley all of a sudden. And I was like, I'm sorry,
like,
where are you getting the Barkley from?
Right. You're like, okay, who is that?
Right.
Yeah.
And I come to realize that there's this amazing football player named Saquon Barkley. Nowadays, they call me Saquon No Barkley.
Oh.
So, yes, it did definitely trigger a lot of things in me. So, Saquon Barkley, if you're watching this for whatever reason, like we need to chat.
Right. Like you
got
guys
a
need
lot
to
of
link
things
up.
to say.
Right.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley, I'm talking to you. We got a lot to say. So
Saquon Barkley's not the only person that you have beef with. You got beef with Spotify as well. Because listen, I gotta admit, I'm not just saying this because you're here. You got the best music taste in the whole freaking building.
I truly believe you and me are two of the most well-versed when it comes to music.
Like, it's very rare that obviously you can match people with certain genres, but it's across genres. Like every artist is like, wait, we're listening to the same exact thing.
No shade to Taylor Swift. I think she's an amazing businesswoman, and I think she's amazing at what she does. But I'm just not a Swiftie. I don't ever really listen to pop music. But yeah, I have some beef with Spotify because explain to me how Drake and Future made my top 5.
That's what I'm like. It said my number one artist, and I already admit this, and I don't want to admit this. It said my number one artist is Playboi Carti. That can't be true.
Well, Playboi Carti.
I like Playboi Carti. I do like Playboi Carti, but I'm like, but that can't be true.
Right?
Though.
No,
that
I agree.
Can't be true.
Whenever I see someone Spotify Wrapped and I see that Drake is in their top 5, I'm like, you don't know music.
No,
I mean, no shade. Drake is great, great. I'm gonna get canceled for this somehow. But
cancel.
It's kind of like everyone's like, oh my gosh, my music taste is so niche and unique, and then they have Drake, and it's like,
Drake,
dude.
It's like, okay, Sabrina Carpenter, Drake.
Right, but like I am one of those people. I mean, yeah, I have 5 bones to pick with Spotify because I'm like, there is no way. I think I told you earlier.
Yeah.
I think that the reason why Drake and Future, though, are on my Spotify Wrapped is because I've been lifting a lot more.
Yeah. So it's just because you're getting juiced, you know what I'm saying?
So I think that when I'm listening to amp music, it's, it's going to pull up Drake and Future.
Right. I feel like the Drake thing, though, I'm not putting the tinfoil hat on. It wouldn't fit over my hair anyways. But, like, I feel like he's paying for this or something. Some of these artists, I'm like, How are you? How,
right. There
bro?
needs to be like some sort of investigation launched into this, because how are you telling me that Drake is everyone's top?
That's
artist?
what I'm saying.
Like Drake kind of fell off the map.
That's what I thought he was supposed to fall off.
Right,
and he's,
right.
He's popping up on everybody. So I'm like, this can't be.
Especially after like the Kendrick stuff, I thought that people were like canceling Drake.
We were just done with Drake. Yeah, but I guess.
I guess not.
Apparently not.
I guess not.
But Spotify's not the only reason we brought you in here today. Se Kwon, unfortunately, that's the fluffy stuff. That's the fun stuff.
Right.
But obviously, immigration has been in the news. I mean, it's a topic forever, right?
Totally.
It's a never-ending debate here in America, but especially been in the news here in the Twin Cities because of all the ISIS presence in Minneapolis, specifically targeting our Somali community and whatnot. And kind of in light of that, you posted on Instagram, kind of sharing some details about your own immigration story, and I thought it was really poignant, and it just really like hit me, even me not being an immigrant. I'm just a black dude from Minnesota, and it still hit me like right in my heart, and I thought that was really awesome of you to share. And it's just like we were talking about it off the air, like we hear this word immigration, but it's like faceless. It doesn't have a story. It doesn't have people. It doesn't have emotions. But then you start to hear these emotions, and I truly do believe that some people, even that are the staunchest against this, if they read something like your piece, that you put out there, that they would have a change of heart. So do you mind sharing a little bit about your immigration story?
Definitely. I haven't really shared this publicly because I feel like, well, one, I didn't really have a platform where I could do this, right? But two, I felt like, I don't know, I've just always been raised by parents who were like, don't let people pity you.
Right.
It's kind of looked at as like a weakness. And so I just never really shared it. And I decided one day to just share it. We were out on an assignment in Little Canada, and we were kind of in the Shoreview area where I grew up. And I don't know, I just kind of like got hit with a wave of nostalgia. I'm pretty sure that was literally in my Instagram caption. But yeah, like just to kind of share, I guess, a little glimpse into my immigration story. I was born and raised in South Korea, which, by the way, I don't get a lot of hate comments, but when I do, I don't really acknowledge them. Yeah. And today I got a hate comment, and they were like, "You were such a pick-me, da-da-da-da-da." And let me just preface by saying, I know I am not the only person who is an immigrant.
Right.
And I just want to make sure that people know that I share that story not because I'm like, oh my God, feel bad for me. I had it so bad.
Make it about me.
That's not what it is. I'm just proud of where I came from. I'm just proud of my story, and I'm proud of my parents. So going back to it, I was born and raised in South Korea. I lived there until I was about 7 years old. But before we moved out here as a family, my dad actually moved out there a year before, and he decided to just do that to make sure we had housing covered. I was enrolled in school, like doing all the logistical work. And then we met, out in Shoreview together, and it was challenging, but at the same time, you think about it now, as an adult now, you realize just how much work your parents put in. I think some of my best memories were honestly at that apartment complex. It's like a tiny, maybe like 400 square foot apartment complex with a family of 4. I shared a room with my parents. My brother had his own room, obviously. But like some of my favorite memories growing up were us 4 as a really happy family back then, sitting on the ground, using boxes, like moving boxes as tables, and eating ramen noodles, just to like eat something. And those truly were some of those best memories. I feel like that's just what I think of. And I don't know, you don't really have that sort of grasp when you're such a young kid, because you're like, oh, they're just, they're working normal. And this is what they do. My mom could not speak a lick of English. Easy for me, right? Because I'm coming when I'm 7 years old. It's easy for me to learn that language. But for someone who's, in their 40s and their 50s, it's not as easy to learn a totally new language. And so she worked as a janitor, and I honestly used to lie about what she did, because at a young age, I was so embarrassed. I would say she was like an event planner because she worked at a hotel. But no, the truth is she worked and cleaned hotel rooms day in, day out. And it's crazy. Like, someone came after me because they were like, well, your dad worked in IT. But at the same time, yes, he's working in IT, but he's making no money at all. Right. And you're thinking about, well, how do we make sure our kids fit into this American lifestyle, which is so surrounded by extracurricular activities? You think about sports, you think about clubs. And so all of that to say, I mean, I just wanted to acknowledge what my parents have done. They are not in my life anymore. But it's just cool that because of them, I am able to be here, and I was able to go to college, or at least I had the resources to be able to do those things, you know.
And I think just hearing that, because there's so much rhetoric now these days about, oh, you know, immigrants are coming over here, and then people think they're like riding limos out of the airport, you know, they're getting all this free stuff, blah, blah, blah. But then you hear your story, and it's like, no, it's not. People have to work really hard to even be all the logistical things. Your dad was gone for a year before he even wanted you guys to come.
Oh, my God.
The logistics that goes into it.
And you think about like a 6-year-old trying to comprehend why my dad would be going out of the country to the United States without us.
For sure.
I mean, as a 6-year-old, I remember, like, my dad even told me the story of us saying goodbye, and he said, you wouldn't even look at me, say, because I was leaving. And so, yes, like, there's a lot that goes into it, and I think that people who are not immigrants don't really realize what it takes, right? Like, there's a lot of work. You have to make yourself stand out somehow. You have to take some risks sometimes to provide for your family. And I think that I am not alone in that story, right? Like, there are so many immigrants. And so many people have had it worse than me. I'm just really grateful that I was set up for success kind of here.
Right. And I hate when people act like there's like this like pain Olympics, you know, like, oh, you had.
And it's not a competition.
It's not a competition. Right. We were all struggling, dog. It doesn't matter who was struggling, but we was all struggling.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
So how does this like narrative, this rhetoric right now that's going around about immigration, how does these images of ICE on the streets, you know, targeting Somalis, what does that conjure up in you as an immigrant?
Well, it's obviously different, right? Like, I mean, if they are here for the reason that they're here for, which is to, you know, get one, illegal immigrants off the streets, and two, people who have committed crimes. Like, that to me is a different story. But of course, you mentioned the rhetoric, and that can be really jarring, because I think about, not that this is about me, but I think about myself in those situations. I would be really hurt, I think. If this was targeting my community specifically right now, the AAPI community, I think I would be a little taken back by some of that, for sure.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's really scary right now.
And I think, I mean, immigrants are everywhere. And I think that they deserve to be highlighted for the work that they've done and the work that they've put in. So, yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, like you said. It's not something you should be like ashamed of. Like, I love that you shared that part of your journey, that you were kind of like hiding it at first. But you've grown to like not only just accept it, but also like wear it as a badge of honor. Like, like an immigrant, America wouldn't exist without immigrants. Like, none of us would be able to exist. So how do we change this perception, this like kind of negative talk? I mean, that's the billion-dollar question, right? If you knew the answer, you wouldn't be here right now talking to me. But like, how do we start to change this? Because obviously it's a tall task.
And
where do we start?
I'm not going to break any news by saying this, but I really do think it comes down to education. You know, as a 7-year-old who's packing Korean lunches to school, and people are around me like, ew, like, what is that? It smells weird. I think that it starts with education, educating your kids and being like, hey, burgers and pizzas aren't the only thing that people eat, right? So like, maybe trying to get them to immerse those kids into that kind of culture, teaching them about that, but also just being open to getting to know people, right? Like, stop thinking of us as immigrants. Think of us as people.
It's not this like monolithic thing where it's just immigrants.
Right.
It's like,
we are all people at the end of the day, and we may just eat different foods and prefer other foods or whatever and speak a different language, but at the same time, like, try to get to know these immigrants the way you would your classmates or your coworkers or whatever. I don't know. I think that's, again, this is the $1 million question, and I think it's something that we've been trying to fight and try to figure out for years and years and years. But at the same time, you have to start somewhere, and I really do think it's education.
And I do think it's like, it's making the stories personal, like yours, you know? Like, a lot of people don't know other different kinds of people, you know? We're still very kind of like cliquey and segregated, like, you know, like a lot of, say the Hmong people are hanging out with the Hmong people, the white people are hanging out with the white people, the black people hanging out with the black people. And it's easy when you don't know someone to be like, oh, that's scary. These immigrant people are scary. Like, this group is scary. But when I truly believe that a lot of people, if they just talk to people,
you just talk.
We're not like that. Some people are still going to be hateful, but most people are going to be like, oh, this person's just like me.
Like, like the classic Minnesotan thing to do when you're walking on the side. Like, today, I was getting gas at the gas station, and two strangers were like, oh, I guess winter has arrived, hasn't it? Like, that kind of conversation, but like with an immigrant. There you go. You're sparking a conversation, and then you get to know each other a little bit, you know? It really, I think, is as simple as that.
It really is.
Yeah.
Just try to change people's mind one story at a time. But I think you did that with your Pulse. I really appreciate it. And thanks for sharing your story on the show today. We got to have you back on under less serious circumstances,
I agree.
know? Well, I'll hit up Spotify. You know, I know some people that know some people. I'll holla at
So
some
you'll call
people.
your people.
Yeah,
but I'm also like down to talk Timberwolves. Like I know you're the man for that.
Absolutely.
So,
Let's talk some Timberwolves next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in the meantime, thanks, Say.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks.
you. More afternoon shift coming up next, right after this. Lauren's List / the afternoon tea. What's up, Lauren Andrego?
Happy Friday. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
How was your commute into work today?
It was brutal.
The roads were real bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's like, this is kind of like, you're rubbing your hands together as the traffic lady, right?
Here's the
Not in like a weird, evil sense.
No, but it's on the way there in a sinister way. My mind has kind of been rewired of like, okay, it's going to be a busy day. There's got stuff to talk about today. But for real, everyone's commutes were messed up. Snow came here a little bit early today. And it's interesting that we're talking about snow because I have an interesting piece of pop culture to discuss with you
What
today.
is that? Did it have something to do with snow? Is this like some innuendo? Snow? Is like this is the old reggae group?
You'll
Snow?
see it in just a second. I'm not familiar with the old reggae group Snow.
Oh, you just gotta look 'em up.
No, we're talking about Pantone. They're the unofficial color authority of the world.
Oh.
And yesterday they announced their 2026 color of the year. This is a forecast into what the year ahead is going to look like in terms of fashion, in terms of home decor, in terms of art, and really in terms of branding and marketing. And here it is right now, Cloud Dancer.
Oh, like that blue in the background.
Nope, not the blue in the background, that white
What?
sheet behind the woman taking a picture.
Come on.
Some argue that white is not a color at all, actually, Max.
Yeah, I
It is
mean, it's the absence of color, isn't it?
Yes,
How
but-
can white be in the color of the year? There's
well,
a lot of places my mind goes.
a really tight-knit secret clan of color experts got together and they
You scared me for a
just
second. I'm talking about
dived
white. You said secret
into-
clan.
I'm using the wrong vocabulary. Let's take a turn. It's a super fun party where they all basically give PowerPoint presentations to each other about what they think should be the color of the year.
Oh.
We don't know who these people are or exactly what happens,
these
but they
mysterious
pick a new
shrouded
color every
figures.
year. And this year they went with Cloud Dancer, which is a billowy white imbued with serenity. It invites true relaxation and focus, allowing the mind to wander and creativity to breathe.
I don't like that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
It makes me, something about that made my skin crawl.
Yeah, right? And I think what Pantone is saying is like, we need a cultural reset this year,
Yeah.
and that's why we're going to
Let's
go
just
with
go
white.
back to
but
white.
like every other year, the internet hates the color that Pantone picked out.
What has it been? Do you have any info on the past?
Yeah,
colors
so
of the year?
last year it was Mocha Mousse,
Oh.
which was like kind of a teddy bear brown.
Okay.
And it was
That was
kind of
actually my
symboli-
nickname in high school.
Really?
Yeah, Mocha Moose. Yeah. That's
Oh, I thought you were going to
crazy.
say teddy bear brown.
that was middle school. Yeah, it was a little heftier. Yeah.
Yeah, and the year before that, it was a peach fuzz. So it was also kind of like a skin tone. So we're 3
They're
years
just
in a
kinda
row
good skin
of
tones,
these
yeah.
neutrals.
Does
This
orange not exist?
not
Pink?
in the last couple of years. So this precise shade of white has equal balance of cool and warm undertones and was allegedly carefully chosen amongst hundreds of different shades of white.
But there's different shades of white.
Yeah,
It
have you
doesn't
seen? Did you watch Parks and Recreation?
Yeah,
You know where they've got the black and they've got onyx and then they've got midnight and then
Right.
Tom Haverford points to his shirt and is like, "Jerry, you think this is black too?"
Such a brilliant show.
Yeah, so they've been choosing this color every year since 1999, and they follow this trend of neutrals this year. But what Pantone says is they're calling back to the need for human connection and understanding between one another. The white color also represents the possibility of a clean slate or a new beginning to draw upon. And on the surface, I guess I agree with that. I just think like maybe we needed something a little bit more like this chair.
Yeah, something more colorful, something that pops. We
Yes.
need the happiness. We
Yeah.
need more color in our lives. We don't need I'm kind of sick of this minimalism thing, like whites and
yes,
blacks
absolutely.
and grays, and let's bring color back.
And
Like,
that's what they're
let's-
going
I want the
to.
world to look like 90s Taco Bell.
I agree.
Yeah.
And way back then, I wish we had a color swatch of like every year of the color of the year. They used to be these big, bright, vibrant colors every single
it's
year, and
just
it was really fun. But this is what they're
white.
forecasting. Another thing I think about Pantone is it's becoming a little bit irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
In 1999, it was safe to say like color experts could predict what brands are going to do next year, but now everything happens instantly on the internet.
Right,
and
one person can wear a fit and it changes
everything. And that's kind of what the reviews are saying, is that it's a little dystopian.
Yeah.
It's a little sad.
Yeah.
It culturally and politically maybe seems like the wrong time for something like this.
Yeah, I would say so. I would imagine that this mysterious group of people that were pitching these colors to each other, I can imagine what color that room was.
Well, I don't know. We have no idea who the people are that.
But I feel like if
color.
there was a brother in the room or a sister in the room, they would have been like, guys.
Can we really think this for just a second?
Not cloud dance.
So I guess cloud dancer is what you can expect to see in wedding trends this year, in products that are coming out, and specifically with branding and marketing. And when I think, do you have a company that comes to mind when you think of the color white?
I don't. I mean, maybe Apple.
That's it.
Apple.
That's what I was going to say.
That was kind of the first
one. Do you
one.
remember like when we were in elementary school and they used to have those rainbow Apple computers and then everything switched over to white?
Right.
That's what I think of when I think of like a white. It was like kind of the beginning of this digital forward technology and like cell phones in our pockets and, like these really pretty desktop computers, like when design started becoming like a really important element of technology around 2005.
That makes sense.
We're 20 years past that
and
now.
we haven't come back around to put a little bit more color into our lives.
I guess not. But yeah, every year Pantone wants to connect culture and color, which is interesting. They're the ones that are responsible for Coca-Cola Red, for Hermes Orange, which is very similar to this color, Tiffany Blue. All of those companies utilize the company Pantone to get those physical swatches. Because when you like make colors on the computer, that doesn't translate to when you print it out.
Ah, so Pantone is literally like in a lab, like making these
the physical
colors.
paint swatches.
So they like put their goggles on, there's their lab coats, and they're like, we need a new white.
So that's my question to you, Max. What should the color of the year have been?
That is a great question. I would say, I don't know, the first color that came to my mind is neon pink.
Yeah.
Neon pink. Maybe it's just one of my favorite colors.
I like it
but
too.
But I feel like we just need to go back.
Yeah.
We're so far. We need to overcorrect.
Yeah.
To kind of bring some balance. Like we're so far into this. Only white, different shades of whites and grays and blacks. And listen, I'm all for different shades of black. You know what I'm saying? Different shades of white, different shades of brown, all the different shades. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But I think neon pink, we just need something that pops. We need something that just you see it and you feel happy, you feel warm. Because we all just need any kind of pink we can get right now.
Yeah.
I think neon pink, that should be the color for 2026.
I like
2025 felt very gray.
It did.
It felt gray.
But this is supposed to be like a trend forecaster and think ahead. And I think maybe a bold step in one direction that would like make a certain amount of people mad, but would have been a little bit more decisive.
What about you?
Fun. I like that. I was thinking something like a purple. I thought they were going to do something in the relaxing self-care sphere. I was thinking it was going to be like a grayish lilac or like a cornflower blue or something. Ooh. But I do like neon. I think 2026 could be a good year that like good chaos.
Yeah,
does something good for us.
I like that. Green would be another one that I was thinking of. I don't know why matcha came to mind.
Oh, I love that color.
Just like going back to the earth. I feel like with all this technology blossoming, some people are just going back to the natural.
To
so maybe
roots.
Green.
I like that.
I like green.
Well, when Pantone watches this.
Yes. Holla at me, Pantone.
It's not too late to make a retraction.
You need some colors up in that room that y'all making decisions in. Because I could have told y'all that I don't think white would. And maybe they did it on purpose. Because like you said, because they're irrelevant, maybe they did it on purpose.
And I think that too
talking.
For that headline.
Yeah.
The headlines were, "You're not going to believe this year's Pantone color of the year."
And I had never even heard of this before. So maybe
really?
Maybe that's just me. But maybe they did this on purpose.
It's truly just something that the local news sphere brings up once a year, and then we forget about it.
Right, you don't even think about it right after you say it.
After January 1st, 2026, you will never hear people utter the term cloud dancer.
No,
again.
Ever. It's a great. I like that term.
I like the term too.
Like if I had a crayon that was a cloud dancer, that'd be pretty sweet.
Where would you use that?
I don't know.
Where do you use that white crayon? That poor white crayon.
I don't know where I'm using crayons in general. I'm 31 years old. I don't know. They're signing my signature with crayons on contracts.
Who knows?
I don't know. Speaking of colors, I saw that you and our friend Hannah Flood, you guys have a little bit of a fashion disaster.
Isn't that
morning.
crazy?
How nuts is that?
In a million dresses in the whole world, and Hannah Flood and I wore the same exact dress to work today. Now, a little bit of a backstory there. I rented mine. She bought hers. She is also, as you now know, 8 months pregnant.
Yes, we learned all about that.
And as you become pregnant, there's just less things that you can fit into. And when you rent something and you have to return it tomorrow, you only have one day that you can wear it. So we both just kindly decided we're going to wear the same dress today.
But you didn't know before you got here.
No, and we put a little video together. It was kind of cute. I don't know if anyone really noticed, but it was fun. It was great minds think alike.
Yeah. Well,
Do you and Adam ever wear the same outfits?
We're pretty close, you know. Sometimes I have to change. Like I always like to tell the people, you know, Adam's he's all this buttoned up guy when he's on the air, but when he's off there, he's got the kimonos on.
You both came in wearing the same kimono.
The same exact kimono.
So
Adam went with the no undershirt look, which I thought was bold.
Wow.
You know,
yeah.
He had like the cigarette tucked in the ear
for a
and everything. Yeah, and it was just like, okay. And he said it was for fashion purposes.
Right. He
had
doesn't smoke cigarettes.
No,
he just does it
had
for
it for the fashion purposes.
Yeah, that's cool.
We dress pretty similar, talk pretty similar. We're kind of reverse like roles on the air. Like I'm actually the guy that's just like kind of quiet, just watching golf on the weekends, and Adam's the one that's just bombastic, crazy
if
guy.
There's one word I would use to describe you besides cloud dancer, it would be quiet.
Quiet, reserved,
reserved, serene.
Cloud dancer.
Cloud dancer.
We'll take cloud dancer into 2020. Is that cloud dancer ish?
Ish. I would have preferred more of this orange.
Yeah.
Here.
Let's get some more color in our lives, but we're thankful to have more Lauren in our lives today.
Thanks,
Lauren.
Anytime.
We'll have more afternoon shift right after this. Welcome back to the afternoon shift. You know, we've been so busy with the real stuff here all week that we haven't got a chance to chat a little cinema. So we figured it's Friday, might as well have a little fun and bring you some fresh fromatoes. And it just so happens that maybe two of the biggest releases of the year released within the last week. We got Zootopia 2 doing crazy numbers on the big screen, and we got the final season of Stranger Things, which just feels like it's been going since 1999 at this point. But we got one more season of Stranger Things, and to talk about Stranger Things, we brought our friend Kara Savage. What's good, y'all?
What's up?
Long time no see.
I know. Well, I mean, I see you.
Yeah, but I mean, not on the show.
Yeah,
you know, in the show world. We don't. I feel like you're only here when Adam's not here. Why don't you ever come visit us when Adam's here? You don't like I know that you and Adam have like this blood feud, and I've been trying to get you guys to get over it.
We can't be in the same room.
No, like every time it's like I like blindfold him when we walk through the newsroom because it's just like if he even sees you, it's just like
major beef.
Yeah, major beef. So hopefully we can work that out. But you're going to be talking about Stranger Things. You and Grace are all over it. I've never seen it. So
I wouldn't say I'm like an expert, but like I saw it.
Expert-ish talking about it.
You know, my TikTok, my Instagram reels, like I think they know that I watched it. So now like everything is like, this is why this is happening. This is what happened to this person. I know everything.
I hate when the algorithm like picks up that you like something.
I know.
And everything is that thing.
But then like I click on it and then I go like deep down the rabbit hole and it's like, why do I know everything?
Right, and then it's like sometimes the algorithm does get me. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Have you seen Zootopia 1 or 2?
I saw the first one and haven't seen the second one.
It is.
I've heard great things.
Phenomenal. A lot of sequels don't live up to the first movie, and Zootopia. I mean, that's probably like. I mean, it's like a crowning achievement for like family-friendly film. I literally I watched it in a college class. Like that was the first time. The first time I saw Zootopia, I watched it in a college journalism class.
Okay.
I feel like my teacher was trying to be kind of like.
Right.
It's been cool, you know. We watched Better Call Saul and we listened to Lemonade by Beyonce. But one of the things was Zootopia.
Was that 2016?
What? It might have been actually. I think it was 2016.
On the dot.
Literally on the dot.
Yeah.
That's super funny. But Zootopia 2 hit theaters just last weekend. It's the first time, like as a parent, it's the first time there's been a kids movie in a long. It felt like months and months and months and months. And I think clearly I'm not the only one that felt that way because everybody and their kid was at the theaters. It's made over $600 million
That's crazy.
It literally is one of the biggest releases in history, Zootopia 2, and I thought it was great. I mean, I really listen, it's not for me. I totally get that when I'm reviewing these movies. Sometimes I watch a kid's movie like, this is trash. What is this garbage? And then I'm like, Max, it's not for you. You're 31. You're not a youth anymore. But this one, I thought Zootopia is one of those movies. It reminds me of, it harkens back to the old kind of kids movies where it felt like there was mature themes that, because I feel like sometimes we hold kids' hands through some of this stuff and we don't give them the mature themes that we use. Kids know about the real world. Kids know about, racism and discrimination and that kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, maybe they don't. But I think that they do. And I think it's okay to talk about these kind of real things in a way that respects kids' intelligence and also like gives something for the adults too. And that's kind of what Zootopia 1 was all about. It's about policing, it's about racism and discrimination. And I thought a lot of those same kind of themes carried into the first one. If you haven't seen it, Bonnie, Fox, they're kind of cop. There's like a buddy cop movie. They become partners. They become friends throughout the first movie, and now they're fully. It's only a week or two after the first.
Aren't
movie.
they like? Isn't it like a little like love thing?
There's a little love thing.
Isn't there a little like? I thought that was like a whole thing.
There might be a hint of romance. I know there's some shippers. A lot of people shipping.
Die Hard.
Them together. Are you a shipper?
No.
You're not a
but
shipper?
Like
Zootopia
people are.
Shipper.
No, I can't say I am. I sat that one out.
Have you ever been like any? Are you like a fan fiction? Are you any like franchise that you've ever gotten so into that you're shipping people?
I was 13 once.
Yeah.
So like I loved I watched all the Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
I was super diehard into that.
Were you too young to be Team Edward or Team Jacob with Twilight?
No, because my mom was super into Twilight, so that's how I knew it.
Were you Team Edward or Team
I am
Jacob?
Team Edward all
Team
the
Jacob.
way.
I was so
That
homophobic.
is super weird.
What?
That is
That's
super weird.
crazy.
What? Why is that
Yes.
crazy? Listen, if Bella had chose Jacob, he wouldn't have had to be a weirdo. Because that last book, he's a total weirdo.
He's total
That
weirdo.
ruined the character forever.
Yes. Yes.
The strangest, I won't even say, because out of context, in context it's weird. Out of context it's even weirder.
Imprinting.
She should have just picked Jacob.
Yeah.
Edward ditched her. He didn't even want to be with her, man.
Right. And I do love Taylor Lautner.
Why are you laughing, Grace? I care, okay?
No.
I care. I read all the books. I really wanted her to pick Jacob.
I just never. It's very rare that we meet someone Team Jacob. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
nobody's
know.
Team Jacob.
I agree.
I literally,
It's super
I
rare.
stole a
Team
cutout of Taylor Lautner from
Yeah.
one of my homegirls because I was so Team Jacob. Like
Wow.
I had a Taylor Lautner cutout at the
Wow.
crib. Yeah. I'm sure that was really cool when I tried to
Yeah,
bring
I'm
girls
sure it
over
was.
and I had the Taylor Lautner cutout staring at us in the corner of the room. But I was absolutely
Yeah.
Team Jacob until he started to get weird. But I am
Yeah.
Team Zootopia too because it is a fantastic movie. Again, a lot of the same kind of themes of discrimination carried over, but I thought it was kind of executed even in a better way. Like it's kind of about because it's like this kind of utopian society, all these different animals living together. But something maybe you noticed, but I didn't notice in the first movie. There's no like the critters, no reptiles.
Right. I don't
no
really remember
amphibians.
much.
No, there was none of them, and that's kind of what this is all about. Like a snake shows up in Zootopia, and it's the first time that anybody has seen a snake in the city in forever, and it causes a lot of fear. People start, and there starts to be kind of a divide between predator and prey, and everybody's afraid of these snakes and everything. And eventually, obviously, no spoilers. I won't spoil how the movie is, but everybody
Right.
kind of eventually comes together and learns that our differences are going to make us better and stronger at the end of the day. So I thought it was a great message. It was really funny. I really liked the new additions to the voice cast. Macaulay Culkin of Home Alone fame. He was kind of the central villain there. And
It's his season.
it is. He's back.
It's his
He's
season.
totally back. Him and Mariah Carey. It's their season.
Yeah, it's
right
all
now.
about them.
And speaking of, Shakira's in it again. She's
Right.
like the kind of what is she like a antelope?
Yeah, she's
pop
the
star?
antelope
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's-
and there's the whole try everything song
Yeah,
from the first
yeah,
movie
yeah,
that
yeah.
did numbers.
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 Numbers. And yeah, Zootopia 2, like I said, is setting box office records all around the globe. $600 million and counting. So it was a lot of fun to watch. Me and my daughter watched the first one ahead of it, and then went to the theater to go see the second one. And I'm not joking. She came over maybe it was noon, and it was like, all right, let's check. It was showing every 30 minutes.
Right.
1 o'clock, full. 1:30 full. 2 o'clock.
I believe it.
2:30 full. All the way up until 6 o'clock. There was not a single seat in any of these theaters. I mean, this is doing numbers. It's absolutely crazy. Zootopia 2 is taking over the world, Kara.
Wow.
But you know what? Speaking of doing numbers, I've read that Stranger Things is setting Netflix numbers, which that's like no small feat.
I truly did not think that this season was going to be as big as it is.
No, because I feel like going into it, it was kind of like a lot of apathy.
Right.
A lot of, well, it's just taking so long. Because how many
Yep.
years in between this season and the end of that? It's been like at
It's
least
been
5?
not
4?
5
3,
years.
4?
Grace,
Since the last one, I mean, I think it was the summer between our freshman and sophomore year, Kara. So that was
Of college?
Of college for
I
the
don't-
last season. So that was 4 years ago. I don't know.
2022, May
Yeah.
2022. it
Okay,
says
yeah,
here.
so it's been a while.
It's been a while, at least 3
Yeah.
years, and there was a pretty significant gap
Right.
between 4 and 3 as well. That's kind of been the kind of central
because of
theme.
COVID.
Yeah,
Because
COVID
COVID
was
delayed it, and
yeah.
then it was like delayed again for I don't even know why.
Just
And
classic
I mean, when
production
people
stuff.
were talking about like my friends a few weeks ago, they're like, "Oh, are you gonna watch?" And I was like, "I don't think I even finished the 4th season."
Right, it's been so long. So a lot of
Yeah.
people don't remember. They don't care. It just seemed
Yeah.
like there was a general feeling of apathy around it.
Right.
But from what I'm reading, it's breaking.
No, but it's
Netflix
good stuff. It's good stuff.
records. And you guys are all over it.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on Stranger Things? This is season 5, the last and final season of the show. What are you guys' thoughts so far?
I mean, for me, it drew me in immediately. Essentially it's a 6-hour movie. I mean, so it kind of, once you start watching it, I found it hard to stop. I binged it in one night. But it's that thing where it's just like fun. It's scary stuff. Like Kara and I were both talking about how when we watched it first, when it came out in 2016, we were scared of the Demogorgon, but now it's like we're very familiar with it and it feels exciting, it's fun, it's a good story. And again, like since we've been with these characters for almost 10 years, you kind of, at least for me, I want to know what's going to happen with these characters, and because a lot of the 5th season draws back to things that happened in the 1st season. So to understand, both seasons, you need to watch, because it kind of explains everything that's happened so far. There's been this overarching villain that has been the root cause of the whole Stranger Things. So I think the need and the desire to find out what has happened is what really drew me in, and they're doing a really great job with kind of, bringing you back to remembering what happened in the 1st season.
Right.
Does the actors like being like 50 years old now take you guys out of it? I feel like those kids, they started off younger than me. They're older than me somehow at this point. They're like 40 years old.
Right. I mean, it's definitely weird, but also it's like because we've kind of grown up with them, and like they are the same age as they're the same age as me. Like most of them I think are 22, 23. And so
Millie Bobby Brown is a baby. She's a baby now.
right.
I know, that's crazy.
Right. I know. It's nuts. She's a mom. But like I feel like because of that, like I'm okay with it. Like it's like
Like you grew up at the
Yeah.
same time as them. Yeah,
Yeah,
so you're
we're
kind
like-
of used to it.
and
Yeah.
it's like, all right, like they got to finish it up,
Yeah.
and definitely you can tell a little bit like whose acting career has grown a little bit, and that's okay. That's
yeah,
okay.
for sure. Because like when you're
mean-
when you're all kids, it's kind of like we all give them some leeway. They're kids, they're actors, whatever.
Right.
But now that they're grown up, the gap is kind of widening a little bit, right?
You can kind of see like, okay, like who's gonna continue this like whole acting thing,
Mm-hmm.
and at first it was kind of hard to watch. And take a little, but then you get sucked in, and you're like, all right, I can get past it.
And this is only the first half of season
Yes.
5, right? There's a handful more episodes coming out around Christmas time. I
It's
believe.
Christmas Day, I believe.
Yeah,
Christmas
Christmas
Day.
Day, and then the last one is either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day.
And that's
like,
going to be
right.
in theaters.
Yes, you
I've
can
heard.
watch it in theaters. I don't know if I will. Like,
Oh.
I've already talked to you, Max, about this. I get scared in movie theaters.
Really?
I can't. Watching, of horror movies. Like,
Yeah.
jump scares. Like, I get very anxious in movie theaters when there's anything scary. So my heart says yes, but my head, I don't know. I don't know if I can do it.
I feel like that communal experience though, because it's like you know,
Yes.
like everybody, so many different people are watching this show. That
Yes.
communal experience is going to be magical in that place because
I
everybody's
agree.
so passionate about this show.
Yeah. The thing about Stranger Things is it's such like I need to binge this.
Yeah.
And so like I just want to binge in like on the couch,
Right.
the basement.
Like you've gotten used to the way
I'm
you've
just-
been watching
Yeah, like
it.
I've watched every Stranger Things episode from like my bed or like the couch, and so I need to keep that going. It's
Mm-hmm. Right.
just such like
Don't wanna
that's what
break tradition.
started. I feel like that is what started like binging TV.
Binge
that was
watching.
one of those like shows.
Everybody, like, because like sometimes the binge, I don't like the binge watching because it feels like everybody's at a different
Yeah.
place at different times and you can't have a natural
Right.
conversation. But it doesn't feel like that's a thing. There's a problem with the Stranger Things fandom because everybody's binging it.
You just
all at
watch the
once
whole thing.
as soon as it comes out. So you've seen it all. What would you say is the what would you give the first half if you had to give it a score? You know, 1/4 of a fro, half a fro, 3/4 of a fro. What do you?
I'm
give
gonna
it
go
Stranger Things?
3/4.
3/4
I'm
of
gonna
a
go
fro.
3/4.
Okay.
Yes.
That's not bad. What
but
about
that's
you, Grace?
also that gets extra points for nostalgia.
Ah, yeah, right, of course.
I would say 7/8. It's better 7/8. I had to go specific because it wasn't quite. It was a little more than 3/4 for me. I thought it was really, really well done. But again, yeah, like we were saying, the old actors and the range of acting skills does throw you off a little bit.
Grace says 6/7.
6, 7. Oh, God, what did I do? I'm leaving. Play the music, Grace. Dun, dun, dun. Ah! I'm so sick of this damn thing. My daughter got me with one the other day. I accidentally said it. She's like, "What did you just say?" And I was just like, "What? 67?" And she just had the biggest smile on her face, and
Good stuff.
I'm over it. So 6/7 of a fro for Stranger Things from Kara and Grace. Zootopia 2 gets a full fro from me. 2 full fros. It's a great movie. It's tons of family fun. Go out there and see it. Speaking of fun, thanks for hanging out with me today, Kara.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Speaking of hang out with us. We got a couple more segments of the afternoon shift to go before we hand it off to the 5 o'clock news. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to the afternoon shift. We're going to end the show. Well, it's not quite the end, but we're going to close out the show the same way we started. We're going to be talking to Susan Molinari, the co-chair of Women Drive 2, because just yesterday it was announced for the first time ever U.S. car companies will be required to test vehicle safety with female crash dummies. And if you're like me, you're thinking, what? This wasn't a thing before, but it's been a decades-long battle, shockingly. But it's Susan Molinari of Women Drive to enlighten us about all things crash dummies a little bit earlier in the show. Let's take a listen. Susan, this is not something that I was very aware of prior to doing research for this interview, but I gotta say it was startling to me to look at the numbers and see this giant gap between men's safety and women's safety when it comes to car crashes. Could you just talk a little bit about that gap?
Sure. Well, it's not surprising, right, when we realize, which most people don't, that since 1970, when we started using crash test dummies to determine safety ratings for our cars here in the United States, that it was based on a 5'4", 140-pound male. When women started to complain and their numbers, I'll get back to that, they said, all right, well, they just shrunk the male crash test dummy and put it in the passenger seat. So to this day, we don't know the safety of cars with regard to a woman behind the wheel because we don't have a biofidelic, a crash test dummy that represents females with our biological differences. Women are 78% more likely to be injured in a car crash and 18% more likely to die. So we're really grateful to the Department of Transportation and Secretary Duffy for moving this along.
Susan, this seems like something that is so like this. It's antiquated, archaic. This idea that we don't have crash test dummies that are representative of females. I mean, I'd imagine that because it's just happening now, that this is something that's taken some fight across the years. Like, how long has this been in the process for?
Well, DOT has been testing crash test dummies for about a decade now, and every time we contact them to say, let's start to implement this, like China, Japan, and Europe. Are already doing this. We're always told, well, it needs more study. So as I said, it's great that the DOT has finally decided under this new leadership and President Trump that they're going to move this thing along with a companion bill that's been in the United States Senate by Senator Deb Fischer called the She Drives Act, which is gaining momentum and has bipartisan support.
Grace, I believe you had a question?
Yes, I do. So I was reading a little bit about this new crash test dummy. What are some of the changes made that are different than the old female one? Because like you said, I read that it was just a shrunken version and they added a pair of breasts to it, basically. Correct. What is the difference now with this newly implemented one?
Well, so what the Thor 5 is going to be is, and it's already made, so we can move this as quickly as possible with regard to government regulations and commenting periods, et cetera. What it does is, for the first time in the United States, we will have a crash test dummy that has sensors where most women have their injuries. We know where those are. Those are not reflected. For example, let's just take an example. Women are overwhelmingly the victims of neck injuries and whiplashes because our necks are just, we don't have the muscle, right? I mean, our bodies biofidelically are different. Overwhelmingly, majority of women sit closer to the steering wheel in order to reach the brakes and the gas pedal. So there's just so many differences in the way our bodies are created in terms of muscle mass, height, like you said, having breasts, being pregnant. None of these things have ever been tested in cars before. So when you went to buy a car and it said, well, it's an NCAP, safety rating of 5 stars, that's really only resembling a male sitting behind the steering wheel.
I'm curious, because even from doing the research and reading, it sounds like even the male crash test dummies were kind of all based on old male figures from like the 1970s, 1980s, and obviously people come in all different shapes and sizes. So like, does that factor? Are there different dummies for different type of body types, or do you kind of have just like all-purpose ones that try to get it all?
Well, we're starting with this, but what the legislation requires is that, at certain periods of time, that NHTSA, the National Transportation Safety Administration, goes back and looks at the data and makes some changes to adjust, as you correctly stated. Even men are taller and bigger than when we started this as the United States government in 1970.
Susan, how big is this going to be for women's safety when it comes to car crashes? Like, are we expecting just like a ripple effect of whole different kinds of research and different design techniques for vehicles?
Oh, absolutely. That's Max. You've totally hit it right on the head in terms of the safety of women. Again, when we think about 78% of serious injuries are from women. 18% deaths. I mean, think about what that means to families, what that means, to safety on the road. With electric vehicles, which are heavier, this can't be implemented too soon.
And I was reading that it costs about $1 million for each one of these units. Is that going to create problems for implementing this? Like, what are the next steps of making sure that these dummies are being used in crash tests and that research goes forward and changes are being made?
Well, once the Department of Transportation says this needs to be done, it has to be done. And then again, as I said, we're also supporting legislation so that this can't be rolled back in the future. We want this on the books as opposed to through a government fiat, which we're grateful for. But we don't want this rolled back, and we want this with an aggressive timeline as possible. Now, when we talk about the numbers, it's really pennies on the dollar for every car. And I'm just looking at the number that I have here in terms of, what it costs society when we have these, deaths and serious injuries. I don't think you can really put a price on that. We acknowledge that for years that car companies have to make cars safer for men. You can't use a cost estimate as an argument for why we can't make a car safe for women.
Life is priceless, like you just said right there, Susan. Have you had a chance to see this new Thor in action at all? Do you get to see a lot of these crash test dummies in action?
I have not, but I'm going to, now that we're feeling so positive about it. And I do want to say we spent the last 4 years under the Biden administration sending letters to Secretary Buttigieg with the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, and we got nothing. Like, at one point, 22 members of Congress bipartisan, wrote to the secretary and never got a response. We started a letter with 30 former ambassadors, members of Congress, attorneys general, car safety advocates, and never got an answer. So we're just really grateful that it has taken such a short period of time for Secretary Duffy to acknowledge, the significance of this.
When can we expect women's safety in terms of car crashes and
Well,
stuff?
as I said, what we want to do is, first of all, continue to support Secretary Duffy, because I know this will, that we do anticipate that there will be some friction in terms of implementing this as quickly as we hope. But also the She Drives Act, which, again, Senator Fisher from Nebraska has been championing, has bipartisan support from, very important members of the Senate. Senator Patty Murray, Democrat, is supporting it. So once we want to get that legislation in too, so that we can move even more aggressively than under regulation, than under what the Department of Transportation can do, and to make sure that it won't be rolled back. So those are the next steps.
I'm curious, after what you just said right there with the friction part, what kind of has been the reaction to this unveiling so far politically, and I guess within the car industry itself?
Well, so far we've not heard anything, and I think that's smart, because it's going to be really hard to say that you don't want to make your cars equally as safe for female drivers than for male drivers. So I'm not really anticipating that they're going to make a lot of noise. I mean, that's just, look, we have gone through, don't let me get on my Helen Reddy. Oh, you two guys are too young to remember Helen Reddy, I am woman, hear me roar. But, we've gone through too much in this country, in this world where, women weren't part of clinical trials. Just so often women are not part of government regulations to make us safe and healthy. And so, again, we're just so grateful that Secretary Duffy is acknowledging that, over 50% of the population needs to be taken into consideration.
Welcome back to the afternoon shift. Just a few more minutes to go before we pass it along to the 5 o'clock news. But I just wanted to give a special shout out to each and every one of you, whether you just started watching 5 minutes ago or you've been watching since 3 o'clock. If you've been watching since 3 o'clock, I'd say maybe watch something a little bit better. I'm kidding. We appreciate you for however long you've been hanging out with us. If you watched earlier this week, today, whatever, we appreciate all of you lovely viewers out there. And of course, we appreciate all of our guests that we had today. Travis Tuthill of Clam Outdoors informed us about all things ice fishing. I think I'm going to take him up on his offer to go out there and hit the pond, hit the lake. Grace, are you a outdoors girly at all? Do you do any outdoors activities at all out there?
I am not.
Not Grace?
I wish I was. I don't camp. I don't fish. I'll hike. I'll do a hike. I'll do a nice,
I'm all for a big hike.
cute
Yeah.
3 mile, maybe even a 5 mile hike. But anything that is on the ice, anything that's overnight, you can count me out.
That's kind of how I feel too. I don't think I'd be able to be chill. No pun intended. I don't think I'd be able to be chill on the ice. No. I would 100%. Every single second that I'm out there, I'd be worried that I'm gonna fall right through, and I'm gonna be the one person whose little thing doesn't work and whose floating vest doesn't. But the fro will somehow sink me or something. I'm gonna be scared when I'm out there.
I'll
for
be
sure.
scared. And Travis said all he takes is water.
I know.
Are you kidding? I would need. First of all, for the warmth, I would need some.
A little something, right? Travis is. That's what he is. He's a hardcore fisherman, like he said. He's a hardcore dude. So shout out to Travis Tuthill. Shout out to Susan Molinari for informing us about all thing female crash dummies. Again, I just cannot believe this was not a thing until recently. But shout out to the Department of Transportation for getting that all together. And of course, shout out to Lauren Andrego informing us about the color of the year. I still got many questions about that Cloud Dancer cover, but color, I should say, but we'll have to save those for another day. And of course, Se Kwon, she's the best. We got to definitely have her back on the show again. The show will be back on Monday, same time, same place. In the meantime, I'm Max Fuller signing off for Grace Henry. The 5 o'clock news starts right now.